18 minutes of tea. Check the time codes and hype the video if you've got some. So I want to acknowledge Robert Cosby Jr.'s passing, which happened on Monday, before we get into the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills gossip and recap that I usually do every week. Robert Cosby Jr. died on Monday. The police were called for an overdose. When they got there, he was non-responsive and he had already been given a Narcan spray. However, it didn't work and he died. He was found in his mother's home. I can only hope that it wasn't Mary who found him. And Mary Cosby then announced on Wednesday how absolutely devastated she and her husband are over his passing. This was his last post on his Instagram. It was dated February 2026 and it says, "I'm back." And it's him playing with his dog. And so I remind all my young friends as well as my old friends that opioids are no joke. And I've done a lot of drugs in my time. I partied with the best of them. But I can tell you that in the end, it just ends up a lot of like bullshit conversations and friendships that don't really exist. So I hope that if you know somebody who's dealing with this, you reach out and get support. It's so challenging to get off these drugs. The best thing to do is to never try them. And if you know somebody who's dealing them or giving them away and shouldn't, you should report them. There's tip lines for this, and I'll put them in the description of this audio, specifically for Utah. Now, the Patreons know that I was very worried about him going to prison because it's a hotbed for drugs. And you can be high all day and the cops just like let you be high basically, unless you cause a ruckus, then they might, punish you in some way. But there's more drugs in prison than practically there is out. So I was concerned about him going to prison for a while. And I thought it might exacerbate his problem. And I just hope that people fix the fucking system. What can I tell you? Rest in peace, Robert. I'm so sorry. All right, so let's get into Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, shall we, and cheer ourselves up about this somber event. First and foremost, I want to start out with Amanda Francis, who dropped this video, and it caught my eye, and I thought, I'm going to play it for you guys this week, and let me know what you think.
So since the day I got the text that said, would you be willing to do Real House of Beverly Hills, and I replied no, I've been very nervous about what I've got myself into. It was a very fucking hard thing to do. It was not an easy thing to do at all. But when I would be alone with me and God, I would always sense that I was right where I was supposed to be. That I was meant to do this, that it was part of my expansion. And I think I'm just excited to be on a new journey, to be on an expansive platform. One of the main reasons I said yes to it, even though arguing with women on TV sounded like the worst thing I could absolutely ever imagine doing ever, and I didn't get into any unnecessary fights, no matter how hard they tried to drag me into it. But one of the reasons was because I had reached a really cool point with my business, and then I had kind of ridden my momentum, my wave for a long time, and I was kind of bored.
Yeah.
The business runs really fucking well. I have room and space to do a new thing, and I didn't think that'd be the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. But I was manifesting television very actively.
Exactly 1 year ago, we were here doing a little holiday
brunch thing, and I was like, y'all, why am I not on TV?
Gonna be a
I'm
reality.
so tired of not being on TV. I don't understand why I'm just not automatically on TV. And so, I don't know. But even though I've been nervous all summer, and it was really one of the hardest things I ever did, I am getting to my excited. And it feels good to be excited. It doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. It doesn't mean I'm going to like everything they show.
Yeah.
But I trust my path.
Yes!
So that's good.
Yes!
Because I've been real skeptical of this path since the day I reluctantly agreed to sign that contract.
And haters are just going to lead you to more perfect people. I found Amanda because
I do make more money when hate. Yeah, that's what she told me. So I think I need to let myself feel the love.
Yes!
So don't miss your opportunity to comment below on that one. So I wonder if any of the people that attended that event actually paid, I think it was $12,000 to do a meet and greet with her and have some sort of hour-long, spiritual retreat or something. sounds like maybe it was. You let me know. Maybe you guys attended. Let me know what it was like. Now, on a quick other note, this is for the patrons. You guys, what did you think about the Real Housewives of Potomac fraud I uncovered on Tuesday? What do you think about it? You haven't told me. I'm dying to know. So last week, I did a bit of a deep dive on Mauricio Umansky's The Agency and the franchise agreements and all of that. And I said I noticed an investor in his 35 million, which kind of red flagged me. And so I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about that today. Now, before I do, something you should note is that Mauricio Umansky bought for an equity exchange Triplement, which is a technology out of New York that did development. It has like 75 developers. So this is going to become important with the rest of the things I'm going to quickly tell you. And you do need to put your thinking cap on for this little part here. So get ready. So here's the list of companies that invested in the agency: FJ Labs, Hennessy Capital Group, Merleview Capital, Richmond View Ventures, and Chisella, all for this $35 million investment. So Hennessy Capital Group LLC was the one that caught my eye. Okay, let me read this from their LinkedIn page. Hennessy Capital Group LLC was founded by Daniel Hennessy in 2013 and is a leading independent SPAC sponsor with over $1.8 billion of SPAC IPO capital raised. 5 successful businesses combinations completed and 3 compelling active strategies include sustainable industrial technology, real estate technology, ding, 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 and internet technology. So now we jump to Hennessy's website and we see on their timeline the agency listed under PE growth. So what does that mean, PE growth? It means that that particular company is helping put money in the agency so that they can acquire things that will beef up their valuation over the next few years to put it in pole position to use a SPAC, a blank check company, to bring it public. It has real Adam Newman vibes. Remember We Crashed? Remember that? The greed-filled rise and inevitable fall of WeWork, one of the world's most valuable startups, and the narcissist whose chaotic love made it all possible. Well, that's what he did. He took regular office buildings and said it was a technology company. And then guess what? It crashed and burned because it was a real estate company. So what's funny is these companies like Hennessy, what they do is they get these blank check SPACs and they've got like a short period of time to find something that they think they can build a value story to throw in the SPAC. And they don't really care if ultimately the value story really achieves what they're pitching. It's not their job. Their job is to incubate it so it appears like it should be super valuable and then drop it so people invest in it and then they exit, and so do usually the founders to a certain degree, and get like a big payout. And then they're like, if the company sinks, oh well, right? Because there's not a lot of repercussions. This is a light regulation way to enter the stock market. But you have to be really careful with these things because you can lose your ass, which is why I bring it up. So Mauricio making all of these appearances are also for this reason. It's part of the incubation of his company in the PE phase before it goes to a SPAC and then becomes public, and he can make a lot of money on it. But the question is, what will happen to all the franchise holders? Will they actually be able to utilize what they bought into to make the kind of money they need to with their financial terms, which are perfect for going public? Passive income that is made monthly, right? Membership income. That income is like the sweet spot for this type of a deal. So they've got everything in a row. The question is, will it actually achieve what everyone is saying it can when they finally bring it public with what they sell? Their last company they did this with, Porch, didn't work out so well. Let me show you. From The Real Deal. After merging with a blank check company, Porch.com is now $1 billion company despite reoccurring losses, which prompted accountants to raise red flags in the company's IPO filing. The home service startup made its stock market debut on NASDAQ today with shares opening at $15.37. Well, Porch came out at $25 a share, then it tanked to $3. Then it stabilized a little. I think it's at like $7 now, but everybody got decimated that was in the beginning. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Like MLMs. Anyway, by the time that everybody realized what was happening and that they were getting decimated, unfortunately, all the players who put this deal together were already kind of out with what they got because it ended up being almost like free shares. So if you haven't pieced it together, this is what Mauricio's doing with the agency, and well, watch yourself. Okay, let's move on to Rachel Zoe partying with Kyle Richards in the Hamptons. She dropped a video, a new one. So me being an artist, I decided to make it into a music video for a remix of my song. Of course I did. And if you don't want to hear the music and you don't want to see the video that Rachel Zoe did, then jump forward about a minute. Speaking of Kyle Richards, she took to her Amazon Live and let this message rip about Dorit Kemsley.
Where do you and Dorit stand today? Not great. Not great. When is the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills reunion being filmed? Pretty soon, in the next month or so. Why do you think that Dorit, Boze, and Rachel are being so mean to Amanda? I just was giving her the benefit of the doubt. And they obviously, I don't know, they clashed with her. I think I felt bad because that was happening, so I made more of an effort to, give her a chance.
Give her a chance because, of course, it involved her old house. I think Mauricio probably had some interest in that. And then I'm going to say on top of it, remember, Kyle Richards got completely destroyed over what happened with Brandi Glanville in season 2 when she actually said, this girl's a kind of a jerk, because you guys didn't see that part because they edited a nice edit of Brandi, but in behind the scenes it was very different, and Kyle actually came for her, and when she did, she got attacked for it. So after that, I'm sure she was like, any newbie I'm gonna just be nice to. Meanwhile, Lisa Rinna's book came out. I have a lot to say on that book, and it's going to be in the Patreon on Saturday, a part 1. But in it, Lisa Rinna says that a housewife called her and asked her for help because her salary had been lowered. And that housewife is Dorit Kemsley. And that might explain her more Lisa Rinna-styled approach to the last 2 seasons, because she also gave her advice and said, bitch, you better become the villain and become, very important, or you're not going to see that big bucks. And you know what? Lisa Rinna is right, because truly, look at Andy Cohen. He ended up apologizing to her on Watch What Happens Live for sharing her messages in his book. I mean, obviously he got pissed at Jeff Lewis for doing the same thing on his show, but the fact that he actually said it on Watch What Happens Live was pretty extraordinary. Now, I feel like Andy Cohen didn't read the book. His staff looked for his name in the book, and that's what they focused on, and then he made the apology. But to be fair, Lisa Rinna says none of the girls like Erika Jayne Girardi. She talks about how it's a horrific experience. She should have quit like a million times. She talks about Andy Cohen's betrayal. Not so much just about the text message he shares that she sent him, but much broader in the book. Like, I did your baby shower. I'm the one who got everybody going and had your back till the end, but you just didn't have mine when I was going through a really rough time. Didn't acknowledge like all the death I was in, wasn't a good friend. Did he read that part? She really drags the show and, production and everything. So I'm like, oh, don't think he read the whole book in detail. I guess the villain does always win. Although Lisa Rinna dragged Garcelle Beauvais in her book this week, said she used to be friends with her and see her socially all the time, but then when it came to the show, she wasn't a real friend, and So Lisa Rinna thinks she's fake and has an agenda. And I think she even mentioned she might be a narcissist in the book. Garcelle was unbothered. She walked in the Giovanna fashion show this week looking hot. Since the American Top Model docuseries came out, Erika Jayne was going around from 2007, a picture of her with Jay Alexander, because Jay Alexander, of course, we found out had a stroke and lost everything. And so then the Bravo fans dug this up, so I thought I'd share it with you. I guess they were friendly back in the day. Rachel Zoe was asked about her relationship with life coach Sasha Hart, and she was like, oh, him? No, we're just friends. We'd been on like a trip and we quickly jumped to the red carpet and they asked him to get in a picture with me. And I was like, sure, why not? But of course, there's nothing serious happening here. He's just a friend of mine. But I don't know, because all the press that came out about this seemed to be framed around sources that were saying that she's been dating and having a good time. So it's like her PR team took it one direction and then she flipped it in another. Then Tamra Judge decided to tell a story about Sutton Stracke getting weird, creepy packages that sound like threats, honestly. Remember, Sutton Stracke was robbed and all of her purses were stolen. So this to me landed a little different. I was really scared for Sutton, like maybe it was somebody related to the robbers trying to scare her. I also find it really unusual that Garcelle Beauvais, as I said in the last video, seems to be targeted by someone who keeps calling the cops on her. And they've done this in 2 of her homes. It seems like an intentional threat. And somehow the fact that Sutton has had this happen and Garcelle is having that happen, and they're kind of connected through the show in terms of prior seasons and their friendship, right? It seems very disturbing to me. Let me play you the clip.
So Sutton DMs me and says, Tamra, you have to call me. Something weird's happened.
What?
And I said, what? So I called her immediately and I said, what's going on? She goes, the weirdest thing. She goes, I got a return package that I never sent to you. And it was a wallet. And it was sent to a house in Trabuco Canyon. I go, okay, maybe that was my Kodo house or something. But okay, did you send me something? No, I never sent it to you. And it came back to me and I opened it up and it said undeliverable and it was a Kate Spade wallet. And I would never send anybody a Kate Spade wallet. I go, oh, I wouldn't take it. Like, we're going back and forth, right? And then she goes, it got weirder. Then I get a package from you.
What?
Yeah. And it's a purse with cut off handles. What the heck is going on? She's like, she had to call the cops. She had to report it. It came from a person in Florida. It came through a Florida post office. So I'm like, I don't even know what to make of it. I go, but the good thing is they have my wrong address. And she goes, they have my right address. I go, good luck with your life.
Just to say it, you guys, Kate Spade wallets are super cute and they're well made and they're good quality and they're a lovely present. I don't know what the hell she's talking about. Also, I just want you guys to know, like, since when is Tamra Judge such a snot? Did she forget where she comes from? So did you guys agree with me that Armie Hammer was the guy who abused Erika Jayne in the last 2 or 3 minutes of last week's video? Do you agree? I got a lot of people telling me they agreed, but I wanted to hear from you guys also this week in case you missed last week's show, the last few minutes of it. Okay, you guys, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Season 15, Episode 11. Let's do this. So we open up the show and we see little tidbits of everybody's life, but then we get right down to the nitty gritty. And we see Dorit Kemsley has a $28,000 white Kelly bag. And it's beautiful. And Kyle's like, I could never get that bag because I'd get it dirty. And Dorit's like, okay, well, whatever, I have it. And she's dressed to the nines. She looks amazing. Everybody looks amazing, but everyone's dying of a hangover, except for Kyle because she doesn't drink. So she looks great. Everybody else looks a little like worn out, but their clothes look fab. And then we realize that the real plus of having Rachel Zoe on the show is that when the women do shopping or whatever, she can advise them like a stylist and we can see like what she chooses. Because in the next scene, to get over their hangover, because nothing is working, they go to a store called Love Shack Fancy. And I wrote it down because I want to go see the website because the clothes were right up my alley. Anyway, Dorit is in the store and she's like buying everything, but I can't blame her because the stuff was so cute. I mean, it was just beautiful stuff. And I'll show you some pictures of it as I'm talking. Anyway, Rachel Zoe does her stylist thing. She helps her pick hats. She helps her style clothes in ways I wouldn't have even thought of. Like, it was amazing. I was like, this is great. Now I know Rachel Zoe's real value on the show. And then Dorit is all talking about how she makes a lot of money and she's doing really well and she's very responsible, even though she shops a lot. And then she goes to pay the bill, and it's only, and I say only just by Beverly Hills standards, $4,500 and some odd dollars. I'll show you a picture. And it gets declined. And she like tries again, and it's still declined. And they're like, do you have another card? And she's like, not really. So we start to get a feeling like maybe, you know, Dorit isn't doing as well financially as we thought just because of the massive overhead she's paying for, not because she's not successful. But like the house, all the stuff PK's, you know, let go. So Dorit is, I guess, feeling the pinch that showed, right? Her cash flow. So then Kyle's next door and Rachel Zoe's like, yeah, she bought half the place. And we don't really know Kyle's response to that in this scene. Also, we see a scene where Dorit is talking to her daughter and she's talking about going to Disney and PK's with her in Florida and they're gonna go to the park, and she's like, Dad's the best and he helped me go to sleep, and Dorit's trying to play along like everything's dandy. She waves at him, he waves to her, and you know, this whole thing. But then, you know, in her confessional, she's like, I had to put on a good show for the kids because I never let him see what a douche he is. But like, oh, and then she swears in her confessional like so much that they literally blurp out like the last 1 minute of her confessional, just calling him. So then we see a scene where Dorit goes downstairs and Rachel Zoe goes upstairs and they're getting ready for some sort of event at Rachel's house, and Kyle calls her daughter, Portia, and then all of a sudden we get a call from Boze. And Boze is like, how's it going? You look like you're having a ball, you know, the dance video, all that. And Kyle's like, I danced forever. And then she's like, but something's weird about Dorit. She seems scattered. She forgot things. She was like late. And then she talks about how she brought this like very expensive Kelly bag and she's wondering like, why is she spending like that knowing that there's a financial disaster looming? And so Kyle's saying all this stuff to Boze, and Boze is kind of like, okay, well, yeah, that's awful. And okay, well, maybe she's just going through something. And then Boze is like, I can't believe Kyle's saying this on TV, basically, because BK is going to see it. He could use it against her. And so that happens, you know, and then we have to ask ourselves what's going on with Dorit. You know, is she okay? Or is she doing all this because she's kind of lost it? Now, Dorit made sure to tell us that the reason her card was declined was fraud, and she did manage to find another card and get it to go through, but it was weird a little. But certainly could have been fraud because she was in the Hamptons and she lives in LA, right? But why didn't she call the credit card company? Maybe that's the scattered thing that Kyle's referring to. So it's clear that Boze is playing a game with Kyle. She's pretending to be her friend, but she's really on Dorit's side. Secret spy. So in the next scene, we see Sutton Stracke and Jennifer Tilly having lunch in Malibu, and we hear about Sutton Stracke renting house in 2016, right before it's over with Christian, and she's kind of reminiscing about that time, and then Jennifer Tilly kind of fills in the blanks on what Sutton won't say, I guess. And that is that Sutton, you know, had a really good friend that stole Christian in a way from her. She'll never really know, right? Like it ends with him and then it starts with her, but the friend was always around doing play dates and seeing Christian and Sutton. So like, when did the attraction start? It's tough. And Jennifer Tilly's like, she tries to put on an act like everything is perfect. And she did this when she was married, when I know it wasn't. And it's not real. She's just good at performing. And I really liked this topic on tonight's episode because it's actually such a thing that everyone in LA in particular really does, which is put on a show that everything is perfect. Think Instagram, but people live that way all the time, not just on their feed. And it is all a lie, right? Because the most corrupt people are there. The most, falling apart people are there. Hell, I've done interviews and had so many friends that got indicted or, had these incredible deaths. And it's just, I don't know. It's epic highs and epic lows in Los Angeles with all the pretending. Let's just say that. Now, then we jump to a scene with Erika Jayne, and she's with her psychiatrist, and she's talking about her situation. She's like, I have $10 million in tax debt that came from Girardi, and I have 25 million in debt that they're trying to get from me for money that was transferred to my company through Tom. And the trustees are coming for me and they want to bankrupt me. Now, truly, I don't think Erika's worried about going bankrupt. I think she's probably accepted that that's inevitable with this $25 million lawsuit. But I forgot about the $10 million taxes. And the truth is, I don't think she can get rid of the taxes with the bankruptcy. I know federal taxes she can. I don't know if they're state only, but I know federal she can. So if they're federal, like she'd have to make $10 million someday to get out from underneath that. And that's tough, even with her current job. She'd have to marry someone like Jeff Bezos rich or Elon Musk rich, and usually they don't go for girls our age, although Bezos did, but that's unusual. So I think she feels like, how do I get out from underneath all this? And I also think something else is going on with Erika, which is when you've had such wealth, even with an awful man, and you've experienced that lifestyle, and it can be so fun because you just don't give a fuck and you're spending money and you don't care and you don't even, it's like means nothing because you're not earning it. And then you go to reality, it can be like a brutal awakening. Let's just say that. And everybody knows how to do it, but you reminisce about the lifestyle. You think of it, from time to time. Oh, I missed that. Even though it was vacuous and empty. And also the guy was a douche and you hated him really and you didn't want to have sex with him and all this stuff, right? It's like the lifestyle's so sparkly, you kind of remember that versus him. And I think Erika's having a little bit of that. I've had that with other friends of mine too. Anyway, it's pretty clear with the timing she's citing and the references to choking and all that I think it has to be Armie Hammer. And I think that's why she had a lot of shame about calling the police or her son about it. Would make sense if it happened in some sort of sexual encounter, right? So I just think maybe that's what happened. That's my guess, as I mentioned earlier and last week. Let me know what you guys think. So then we go to dinner with Rachel Zoe and her parents, and Dorit's really late, and Kyle's still kind of harping on it like, geez, this is rude. Like, why are you being late in her own house? And she can't get her outfit together and she hates it and changes. And we find out that Rachel Zoe's parents are struggling with the divorce as much as Rachel Zoe because they miss their son, because to them he was like a son because they knew him so long and when he was so young, and he was always good to her and the kids and everything. So it's like they're having trouble changing their viewpoint of him, which is difficult on her because she feels like it hurts. First of all, it hurts that they love him and they're sticking up for him when he's done something to her, A. And B, it hurts that what they were so in love with doesn't exist anymore, which has to make you feel a little bit like a failure, even though it's not your fault. It's hard. That's a tough situation. God, I hate when that happens. I've had that happen to me. But there is something to call out during this scene, which is Zoe very innocently says to Kyle, you have a bunch of properties you own, right? Like Aspen, and then she throws out Nashville. And of course, Kyle's like, oh shit, because she didn't want that to come out on the show because now the fans are going to know that she's seeing Morgan Wade at that house in Nashville, which I already told you a few videos back. But now it's out on the show. And you know that Morgan Wade lives really close to Nashville and she records in Nashville. So this is, spaghetti-o. And now you know why Dorit said what she said on Watch What Happens Live, which is she thinks that Kyle sees Morgan Wade during the off season. There's a scene with Boze and her man, and she's like, what if I can't give you a baby? And he's like, well, what if I lose my job? Are you going to leave me? And it should have been a nice scene, but the way that it all went down was awkward and strange. And since we know what he does for a living and we know he doesn't make a lot of money, it was weird. The whole scene felt awkward, and I just don't think there's a future between Boze and Keeley, even though they're engaged. I'm sorry. I think this one's going to blow up like a nightmare. So Rachel Zoe tells a story in the final scene where she's like, I cheated on him only once, 4 years in, and it was with this like gorgeous model, and I told him, and then the next day he asked me to marry him, and I never cheated on him again. And then she was like, you know, basically he cheated on me, and maybe he just wanted to get a reaction from me because he felt like I didn't give him any reactions anymore. So he was insecure and he looked for someone else to like really want to be with him. Also, he had changed a lot and the new girl really liked who he was, whereas Rachel Zoe was kind of like, ick. So that is sort of the drift. And then Kyle does a confessional and she's like, I don't know, like you set the precedent in the beginning of your relationship of cheating, and then you're surprised at the end of 20 years or whatever that he cheats. And Kyle throws that in there so people will think about it. And you know, I guess, you know, she has a point. I just never have cheated, so I don't really understand that thinking ever. I just don't cheat. If I want to cheat, I end it. All right, you guys, thanks for having fun with me. Big kiss. Have a great day or night or morning.